What's going on, guys? My name is Nico, and in today's video I'm going to show you guys how I clean, how I maintain, and how I polish my Dr. Martens boots. The Dr. Martens that we're going to be using for this video today are these. These are the 1460 Pascals. I've done a video review on these boots, and I've also done a video on how I style these boots. So if you guys want to check those out, I will be leaving a link to that so that you guys can see those if you guys want to. When I first started doing Dr. Martens videos on this channel, I asked you guys if you guys wanted to see a video on how I take care of my shoes and my boots and how I sort of clean them up, how I polish them. And a lot of you guys actually wanted to see that video, and it's been many months now since that first video that I uploaded, so it's taken a bit of time, but I guess better late than never. So in this video I'm going to show you guys the different things that I do to take care of my Dr. Martens. Now, I sort of have two different routines or processes when it comes to my Dr. Martens. The first one is how I regularly clean and maintain my Dr. Martens, and then there's also a different process that I use for polishing my Dr. Martens. So that is what you're going to see in today's video. Before we get into the actual video, I just have one thing to ask you guys. If you guys are into these types of videos and you want to support the channel, one of the easiest ways you can do that is to leave a thumbs up on this video and leave a comment if you guys want to as well. That helps the channel grow, it helps more people find this video, and in turn, more people get to watch this and the channel grows because of that. So if you guys could, I'd really appreciate that thumbs up. And again, if you have anything to comment, whether that is, something to say about my process or a question to ask about this whole thing, you can just leave those in the comment box down below. And again, it does help. I get to all the comments, or most of them at least. I try to do my best. But yeah, let's get into the video. Alright, so what we have here are the boots, and you can see that they are a little bit dirty. I actually haven't cleaned these out in around 2 or 3 weeks, and I did that on purpose so that I'd have, I'd have a little bit more to show for this video. But typically I do the first part of this, or of what I'm going to show you, once a week. But before we go through that process, I'm going to show you guys the different things that we're going to be using all throughout this part of the video. The first thing is the Dr. Martens Wonder Balsam. I actually picked this up probably a year into owning Dr. Martens. When I first got my Dr. Martens, I did not use this, but ever since, I've been loving this. I really love using it, and I love what it does to the Dr. Martens. I'll talk a little bit more about this as we go. I have some Kiwi shoe polish. This is actually a super old tin of Kiwi shoe polish. As you can see, it's very used up. I just got this from my dad. He had it laying around, so I asked him if I could use it, and I've been using it since. I have a brush right here. I have a toothbrush, and I have a soft towel. Those are the things that I'm going to be using all throughout this video. So the first process that I use is my regular cleaning and maintaining sort of routine for my Dr. Martens. And this is a routine or a process that I go through around once a week, twice a week if I forget or if I'm lazy, but usually once a week. This is what I do with the boots, just to keep them looking good and to keep them really nice and taken care of. The first thing that I do is I just go in and take off the laces of the boots. And if you guys want to know my lacing setup, I did a video on it, and my lacing setup allows me to remove and put on the laces super quickly and super easily. So if you guys want to learn how to do that, I'll leave the link to that for you guys to follow. But because it's so easy, I don't really mind taking off the laces and putting them back on after, because it's super simple. And the reason why you want to take off the laces is just to make everything easier to get to, because you do want to clean all of the little nooks and crannies of the boot, just so that everything is well taken care of. And the weekly process that I go through is essentially just using the brush, the toothbrush, and the towel if I need to. But essentially, I'm pretty much good with the brush and the toothbrush. And what I do is I open up the shoe like this. I put my hand in, just so that, I have good control over the boot. And then I take the brush and I just clean it out. Super simple. But you want a good brush, because what you will see is just by brushing the boot, it brings it up to a nice shine and a nice cleanliness level, which I will show you guys in a bit. But this is essentially what I do. I just go through the entire boot a few times. And when you're doing this with a brush, I don't mind being a little bit, you know, rough with the boot, just to make sure it gets all clean. So that's sort of like the first run. And what I'm seeing here is there's some spots that are left over from this was probably either rain or little splashes from a puddle or something like that. But there are little sort of marks from water that dried up there. So when it gets to parts like this, what I will do is I will go in with the towel, and I will wet the towel just a little bit. So I'm gonna be right back and wet the towel. So here I've wet the towel, not too much, just a little bit of water, and then I run it through those little marks that have that sort of water stain on them. Just look around for those little marks. There's some over here. And then after I do that, I'll just take a dry portion and start, there's still a little bit more here. Dry portion, just dry it out, and then I go back in with the brush. Super simple. I like giving the front a little bit more of a buff because just by using this soft brush, you can get like a nice natural shine to it, which I'll show you guys in just a bit. I'll give you guys a close-up in just a little bit. There. So that's what I do with the brush, and with this old toothbrush, I just get into like little areas that the brush can't hit. So in these little corners, what you'll find is if you don't use a toothbrush, they're gonna end up looking a little different than than the rest of the shoe, especially as the shoe or the boot gets a little older. The part that's not maintained here in the cracks, it shows, it like looks a little drier, and you don't want that. So I started cleaning out the sides just like this. Sometimes I'll go through these edges as well, because sometimes the brush can't make it to the very edges. Super simple. And for areas like this, sometimes you'll want to use that brush to get into like little corners that, sometimes you'll want to use a toothbrush, I should say, to get into corners that you can't get with the big brush. And again, after that, I run through it with the big brush one last time, just to get it nice and looking good. There you have it. Sometimes I do this process a little bit quicker. Again, I do it around once a week with these boots. Maybe once every 2 weeks if I'm lazy. But it's already looking so much better. Let me give you guys a little close-up of the boot. Alright, so that's the process that I use around once a week or once every 2 weeks. But once a month, what I do is I add just one extra step, and that's I use the Wonder Balsam by Dr. Martens. And what this is supposed to do is it's supposed to sort of keep the leather healthy. So I don't use a leather conditioner or anything like that. I've never tried to. I might experiment with that in the future, but this is supposed to sort of do that type of thing, maybe not to the same extent, but it's supposed to keep the leather a little softer, a little healthier, a little more hydrated, and it's supposed to also help give it a natural shine. But what I find with these things is that you also don't want to do it too much, because having too much of this stuff on the boot at all times is or at least I think is not the healthiest thing you can do for the boot. So again, I do this around once a month, and it comes with this sponge. This is actually the older tin, I think they come in black now. But what I do is I just get a good amount like that, and then I start spreading it all throughout the boot. So I give it like nice little taps, just so that I don't get too much in one area. And I'm pretty generous with the amount that I put. I make sure that everything is covered. The inside as well. And don't forget the back. Just make sure you get everything nice and even. And then once I do that, once I sort of give everything a nice tap, what I do is I spread it around using the sponge. I got a little bit more in the front, so I'm going to do my best to sort of spread that around. Super simple, super straightforward. You also want to make sure you get it in all these inside parts. You don't see this part a lot, and it's easy to overlook these other, leather parts that you don't see often, but you want to keep it nice and taken care of so that these boots just overall last a lot better. Because sometimes, you get like little areas, you might think you're taking care of the boot, but then the little areas that you don't end up covering or taking care of, those are the parts that might dry up and might crack. So again, you just want to make sure you get the whole thing. You can take as much time as you need to. I'm kind of slow right now, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but usually when I do this, I try to be a little bit quicker, because I don't just do this one pair, I actually do most of my Dr. Martens in one go. So I try to be a little bit quicker. But there it is. That is how I apply the Wonder Balsam. And after I do that, again, I always like getting this brush and just running over the shoe one time so that everything looks nice and good. All right. Let me just give this inside one more pass. There you have it. That is how I apply the Wonder Balsam. I'm going to give you guys a close-up on this point of the shoe care, because right now it looks a little bit different from when I did not use the Wonder Balsam. This adds a different kind of shine. It almost adds like a matte shine to the shoe, because it does have that layer of Wonder Balsam, which is very, very thick. It's very waxy, and so it adds like sort of a more satin look to the shoe. Here, let me show you guys. All right, so that is sort of part one of this, how I clean, how I maintain my Dr. Martens. As you guys saw, it does look a little bit different once you apply the Wonder Balsam. But over a few days, even actually just after one wear, it starts to change. It's a little bit of a fingerprint magnet once you have the Wonder Balsam on, but it's all good. As long as I know that it's taking care of the boot. So let's move into the second part of sort of how I take care of my Dr. Martens. And this one is not so much how I take care of, but how I polish my Dr. Martens. And the reason why I didn't do both shoes is because whenever I apply the Wonder Balsam, I do not polish it at the same time. So if I know I'm going to polish the shoe using this black shoe polish, I do not use the Wonder Balsam in advance. I sort of just do that first part of the cleaning, and then I apply the shoe polish. And then after probably a week of having that shoe polish on, I give it a nice clean again, and then I apply the Wonder Balsam. So right now I'm going to show you guys how I polish the shoes, or how I shine the shoes, because for me it's a completely different look. You can actually get a super high shine from using black shoe polish that I'm going to show you guys. This is what I used to do more often before I got the Wonder Balsam, but nowadays I just sort of apply the Wonder Balsam because it is a much quicker process, and I don't always want to have my shoes fully shined up. And also I think that in terms of taking care of the shoe and letting the shoe last longer, it's much more beneficial to regularly use the Wonder Balsam, or at least the way I do it, once a month, rather than to keep applying shoe polish, because I actually don't know if it works this way. But from some of the things that I read, if you use shoe polish too often without softening or conditioning the leather or maintaining the leather that way, that it can dry out. So I just try to use this, whenever I want to, but I don't use it more than I should, and use the Wonder Balsam instead. So again, the first thing I do is I remove the laces like I just showed you, and then I give the shoe a nice quick little clean using the brush. Alright, so I wet the towel a little bit more because this one also has some of those stains from a while ago. It has a little bit more actually. Yeah, it's got a bunch on this side. Then just try it out. Oh, it's got some here. Just a little brush through. Alright, so now that I have that sort of first cleaning of the shoe, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this same towel. Some people use like a softer towel, but I think that this does the job just fine. I'm going to wrap it around my index and my middle finger, like this. Have a nice surface here, and then I'm going to use some of the shoe polish. Just grab a good amount, like that. But like I did with the Wonder Balsam, is I sort of gently apply some to all around the shoe. Just a little bits here and there. Make sure I'm covering all areas, including, these parts right here. So now I have it applied all throughout, but in little sort of blotches. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to rub it all in. So I'm going to use the same cloth and just sort of gently rub the entire shoe. Completely cover all of the leather. Now, if it's your first time doing this, it might take a while because I remember the first time I ever tried, applying shoe polish to my own leather shoes. I spent a lot of time, and I don't know if it was because I was slow or because I was just making sure that I got all the bits covered. I'm gonna apply more to the side actually. Here. So just make sure you get everything. And then the other side. And then the back. Don't forget the back. Now, I feel like I got all the little bits, but if there are any parts that are hard to get to, you can also use a toothbrush, get a little bit on that toothbrush and start applying it to little cracks that might be hard to get to. Or if you already have like shoe polish in that area, just use the brush to sort of push that shoe polish into that area. It helps out. So now I'm going to show you guys how how it looks at this stage of the sort of shoe polish process. At this point of the process, you might be wondering why it looks very dry, very matte, and that's because after applying the shoe polish, you want to sort of buff it out with the brush. And I'm going to do that super quickly. You're going to see me do it. And you might be able to already start to tell, but just by using this brush, you're getting like a nice shine come through. So again, I'm not too, I can be a little bit rough with the brush, but in my experience, that's how you get a nice shine to the shoe. Doing this video, it's actually a lot harder than I thought, talking and doing this at the same time. Again, just make sure you get all the bits covered, including the back here. Just make sure you take care of everything. And then one last time I run through the edges just to make sure I get everything. Alright, so there we have it. We brought out a shine from the shoe polish. So what was looking a little bit matte a while ago is now a lot shinier, and I'm going to show you guys a close-up of this right now for you guys to see. Now you could stop right there and that would be perfectly fine, but what I like to do is I like to give the front of the boot a nice mirror shine to it. And the way that I learned how to do this, and I just learned how to do this through different YouTube videos, the way that I learned how to do this was to use a little bit of water. So a while ago we covered that front bit with shoe polish and then we sort of buffed it out. The next step to get that nice shine is to cover it with, or to put a little bit of water and then to start polishing it using your fingers. So what I have is I have that cloth again. Just give it like one little tap on the water right here. So it's literally just a few drops of water. You just put it around and then you can start polishing that front part. And what happens is you get like this super shine to it. The shine that you get with this process depends on, it also depends on the type of shoe that you're using. So depending on the leather, some shoes can get shinier than others. For example, my 3989 Brogues use sort of that standard smooth leather that you get with Dr. Martens, and those become very shiny. Just one more. I'm gonna do one more round. There you go. That looks super good. Let me show you guys this up close. One last thing I want to mention about that mirror shine in the front is one thing that I tried in the past to give it a very high shine was to use a blow dryer on the tip, and it sort of hardens the shoe polish or something, but it gives it an ultra high shine, and it's a cool look. But the reason why I stopped doing that is because, you know, I don't condition my leather or anything like that. I go just as far as the Wonder Balsam, and I'm not sure if that process of using the blow dryer sort of dries up the leather faster, so I just don't do it anymore, just as a precaution. You guys can try it out yourselves. Again, it does leave a super cool look, a nice shiny look to the shoes or to the boots. So that's something you can try. And I might be doing it again in the future, but for now, I'm just sticking to the processes that I just showed you guys today to maintain and to shine my Dr. Martens boots. So that's it, guys. That is how I clean, how I maintain, and how I polish my Dr. Martens boots. If you guys have any questions, again, leave those in the comment box down below. If you have any suggestions, if you guys are sort of more experienced with cleaning and maintaining your boots, also leave those in the comment box down below. And if you have any suggestions for future videos, leave those in the comment box down below. I'll see you guys in the next one.